Here with us now, former Florida House Speaker and Republican senatorial candidate in Florida, a guy who is making waves, Marco Rubio. Marco, you're a troublemaker. We're hearing reports that conservatives are suggesting that Charlie Crist drop out of the race. What's going on down there?
Well, first of all, good morning, and thank you for having me. I think what's going on is that people are tired of apologizing for their principles. They're tired of being told that they have to water down their message and somehow change who they are in order to win elections. It's not true. The fact is that the center-right political thought is the mainstream of America, and people are tired of being told that it's not.
Is Charlie Crist watering down his beliefs to get elected?
Well, I don't know, quite frankly, what his beliefs are over time. As I told you, I voted for Charlie Crist. I supported him in 2006, and I worked with him when I was Speaker and he was Governor. And certainly the person that got elected in 2006 is not the same person over the last 4 years.
How's he changed?
Ultimately, I think we all have to live... Well, he supported the stimulus package, and he's changed on gambling, which is a major issue here in Florida. He's restored the rights of felons to vote automatically here in Florida. He tried to impose a cap-and-trade system. None of these were part of his platform when he ran for governor in 2006. But I think it's part of a bigger change that's happened in the Republican Party in some circles, and that is this belief that somehow we need to become more like the Democrats in order to win elections. My view is there is already a Democratic Party. For Americans that want more government involvement in the economy, they already have an option on Election Day. It's called the Democratic Party. What about the rest of us? We deserve a voice in American politics, and I believe that that should be the Republican Party.
Dan Senor?
Hey, Marco. You know, one argument you hear from Republicans in Washington is that only Governor Crist could win the general election. Well, it's very good that you have your principles. At the end of the day, we'll lose the Florida Senate seat, and it'll, reduce our odds of somehow getting back the majority. How do you respond to that argument?
Well, first, it's not true. Rasmussen, one of the most prestigious polling houses in the country, just recently did a poll that showed that I beat the Democrat by more than Charlie Crist does, and that just came out a week ago. But the second thing that implies is that somehow center-right conservative Republicans cannot win in a state like Florida, that somehow the only way a Republican can get elected is to water down their principles. I disagree with it, and quite frankly, number one. And number two, I think that's the wrong message to send the vast majority of Americans who are on our side on these issues.
Marco, Jeb Bush and Charlie Crist have had a rough relationship. Is Jeb behind your efforts?
Jeb is a mentor and someone that I've learned a lot from. He's actually virtually a neighbor here in Miami. We haven't talked about him supporting me right now. I hope to earn his support. He's certainly a voter here in Florida, but that's a long ways off.
You never talked about Jeb Bush supporting you? I mean, from afar, it looks like a proxy fight between Jeb Bush and Charlie Crist, and you never talked about Jeb supporting you?
No, I've never asked him to support me right now. I know his sons are supporting me, and that's great. And as I said, I hope to earn his support, and I hope that will happen. But it's not anything that's happened so far.
Did Charlie Crist get knocked upside the head so hard by the collapse in housing values in Florida that it just rattled everything inside his brain? Because I remember liking him when he was running, and thinking, gee, here's maybe a future face of the Republican Party. And then he just went to bits. Was that?
Well, we had a chance. You'll have to ask him. I think really the issue here is what could we have done to have avoided those deep economic downturns that you now see here in Florida. Obviously, the whole country's suffering, but we had an opportunity to do some meaningful tax reform with regards to property taxes here in Florida. When I was Speaker of the House, we passed 9 separate bills that would have accomplished that. We could never get him on our side on those issues, and the result is we're now paying a tremendous price. I think the lesson to be learned is that there is a consequence to failure to act in time.
Marco, obviously we're debating health care right now. What's your position on health care? Not the Democratic plan. I know you're against it, but which way should we go as a country in reforming our health care system?
I think the real key is all these millions of Americans that don't have health insurance, and the question is, how do we get to that? There's a group of people out there that believe that the only solution is for the government to start up an insurance company that will offer them this health care. I actually prefer to see a vibrant private market where people can buy the coverage they need. And when I mean by coverage they need, the coverage that my 25-year-old brother-in-law, who never gets sick and thinks he's never going to die, the coverage he needs is very different than the coverage that I need as a father of 4 in a family of 6. So we need that flexibility. pay. We also need to pay different. I probably need to pay more for insurance than he does because I have more comprehensive care. And the key is, can we get this insurance independent of our employer, the way I buy my auto insurance and my life insurance? And I think a private market that the government stays out of the way of can offer these things. But a public option in our lifetime will evolve into a single-payer system. I think we need to do a better job of telling the American people that story.
All right, Marco Rubio, thank you so
he's
much.
one of the most interesting,
Greatly appreciate you
one of
being
the most
here.
interesting candidates of the 2010 cycle.
It is fascinating. I'll tell you what, he keeps getting closer to Charlie. We need to get Charlie back on.
Yeah.
See what he says.
And get the Washington Republicans to explain why they're all backing.
Exactly.
Well, all the Washington Republicans are all backing Charlie, right?
Yes. Yes. Which I think is a huge mistake, and it's going to blow up in their faces.
Huh?
Okay.